Yeah, maybe just to say what a privilege it continues to be part of this group with so many impressive change makers. And it's such a unique opportunity where people truly bring their whole selves. And, you know, we have an opportunity to be authentic, right? And admit how we're feeling and but also this incredible spirit of collaboration, shared purpose, and it's just a delight. You know, I think we're all so busy and stressed and have so many things on our minds, but by prioritizing, you know, being here and being present, just so glad to have the opportunity to reconnect with you all.
I'm going to ask Claire Maxwell to take us into the future and into our dimensions.
No pressure
And
there then, John.
no pressure there.
No pressure there. Can I just echo what you've just said, Julia? From our perspective, I think I speak for a whole core team, but certainly from my perspective as well, just what a privilege it is to be part of this. And what a privilege it is to be able to experiment and to offer different ways of doing things online. As John suggested, we want to provide an opportunity for you to develop, or for us, but to develop individual and collective intents as we prepare for our chosen action. And we really want to honor the contributions from yesterday, the experiences, the different energies that were around and that were represented in the word cloud that Claire provided. When we think about preparation, we can prepare in really lots of different ways. And often those ways of preparing are very familiar to us. We know how to prepare for things, and often that preparation can lead to familiar or known outcomes. Being the GRLI and having a commitment to developing an approach to whole person learning, we'd like to offer you something that's a little different and which may reap different results. We have no idea whether it will or not. This is the very first time that we've done it online. My little heart is beating a little faster as I speak this, I can tell you. And again, it's about 15-20 minutes, so if it doesn't do it for you, just bear with us if you don't mind. You may never have to do this again. But to begin, I would like you to find 3 pieces of paper, please. And if you could, on those pieces of paper, no smaller than A4, because you need to step either very closely towards them or on them. And if you could write quite clearly for yourselves, past, present, and upside down, future. So 3 separate pieces of paper, and written on those 3 separate pieces of paper, past on one, present on another, and future on another. Now, if you have those in front of you, if I could invite you to stand up, please. I'll remain sitting, but everyone else, if you could stand up, if you're comfortable doing so, if that was okay. And what I'd like you to do is to place those pieces of paper on the floor in front of you, ensuring that you have don't stand up in the car, Maury. Just pull over to the side. If you could make sure you've got present in the middle, so future to one side, past to the other, and present in the middle. Great. Now, I want you to take this experience lightly, but meaningfully, if that's possible. There are no rights or wrongs to this at all. This is just about talking to and listening to your heart, and to the core of you, as well as to your head. Just be curiously interested in what's happening for you. Notice what pops up, what may have been quietened in us, what feels awake. So as we did yesterday, just start to loosen up, let your limber a little, because in disrupting our body and moving our bodies a little, we start to shake things out. Things start to move. We're not static, held, our shoulders so tight that we can't move. We're just loosening a little to see what turns up, what comes in. Stretch your limbs, loosen your body, wiggle those toes, whatever it is that you need to do. And when you're ready, just feel yourself settle into the earth. We live in environments where we can safely move, know that the earth is beneath us, and we can be safely held by it. Just balance yourself. And if you could start to breathe deeply, so taking a lovely long in-breath, and then releasing. Ensuring that your out-breath is longer than your in-breath. So again, lovely deep in-breath and out. Let those shoulders drop just a little more. Okay. Now, take a step onto, or as close as you can, to the paper with the past written on it. You're going to hold in your mind's eye the last 12 months. So now you have stepped into the past, the last 12 months. Close your eyes or lower your gaze and just breathe deeply in and out in that past place. The last 12 months. What do you notice in your body? Are you aware of any sensations, anything happening for you, any weight anywhere, any lightness anywhere? And allow yourself to consider whilst you're there, what has helped or supported me most in the last 12 months? What have I had to let go of? What have I needed the most? And what strengths have I discovered in myself? Okay. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and take a step back from the past. Lovely. And just, if there's something you want to hold on to, just hold that. If there's something to let go of, just shake it out a little before we take another step into something. So, same process. If you could now take a step close to or onto the paper marked future. So the next 12 months, the 12 months, the year ahead of us. And closing your eyes or lowering your gaze, breathe into the future. Breathe deeply into the year ahead of you. What are you noticing in your body? Are there flutterings of excitement? Hints of hopefulness? Wariness? What are you sensing? What are you feeling about the next 12 months ahead of us? And allow yourself to consider in this future place, what are you most excited about? What are you most hopeful for? What does being here require of you? And what do you most need to keep going? And when you're ready, just open your eyes and step back from the future. Hold on to what you need to hold on to and shake out anything that you need to let go of. Just holding on to things. So we have our experience of the past. We have our thoughts and hopes for the future. And now we're going to take those and we're heading to the here and now. So please take a conscious step into the present. Step close to the here and now and the present. And again, close your eyes or lower your gaze and breathing deeply. Breathe in the here and now. An awareness of being here with everything that you bring and everything that you are. Allow yourself to breathe into being here. And drawing on your learning from the past and the foresight that you've gathered from the future, where are you now? What questions, sensations, thoughts are bubbling, are arising for you in the here and now? What do you need to attend to here and now? Either for yourself, something just for you, something that may involve others, or something that involves all of us, those of us who are with you in this cohort and those who we know would like to be with us. Just take a few seconds to see what arises or bubbles to the surface. And when you're ready, open your eyes, stay with us in the present, and take a seat. Great. Now, we're not going to ask you to feed anything back from that. We're just going to ask you to be a little aware of what's happening for you and what's arisen. Because a little, like Dale said, this is an opportunity now, not only about relationships and about building connection, but also about taking action. And if everybody's okay, and I'll just check this, is there anything that anybody just wants to say or check out before we take a shift in energetic impulses? Are you okay? Everybody all right? Great, good. So because this is a shift, this is an energetic shift now towards taking towards looking at clarifying intentions and actions. Some of those may have arisen in the work that you have just done. You may have traveled with some intentions and actions. They may have arisen, as it was demonstrated in our reflection round, out of conversations that you've had in the groups from yesterday. It doesn't matter where it's come from. It's just clarifying that essential intent or action for the time ahead from 2021 and beyond. So what we'd like to do now is to offer you 5 minutes to think about, to describe an essential action or intent that you wish or need to engage with during the coming months. And again, it can be related at 3 levels. It can be related at I've just realized that what I need is to get greater support around me. I need to be having these conversations with these kinds of people about these kinds of things. I need to make sure that I look after myself a little better than I have done in the last year. It might be at your organization, in your business school, or it might be in management education or the wider landscape, all of us. It can be something started, something beginning, something bubbling. And if you could clarify as much as possible your intent or intended actions and perhaps form it into a statement or a question, if you can, that you wish to hold or travel with as guiding inquiry or a goal, because we'll be deepening that as we work through the rest of today and our time together. So if I'm right, John, we can put a counter up. Can we? A timer up on the screen. This is, you take 5 minutes. You don't have to look at the screen. You can be away from the screen, go for a walk. You can get a cup of something. You can let yourselves go off the screen. But please be back here in 5 minutes. And I think we'll have a countdown. Is that right, John? Yeah, great.
I'll put it on screen now.
Lovely. So see you in 5 minutes.
Well, just a few more seconds for people to get back to their desks.
There we go.
Okay. If you're back and you're ready, feel free just to re-engage your webcam, and then we'll take the next step. And whilst we're getting people online, here we go. Now, thank you very much, Claire, for guiding us not only across geographies and space, but now also time. I hope that it's been, the last 5 minutes has been useful just in terms of formulating for yourself some of the actionable intents or essential intents or intended actions that you hold and that you wish to hold close and travel with as a guiding inquiry, as Claire said, or as a goal during the coming months. And of course, we're going to have an opportunity now to continue to work with that and to do so in the context of sharing with some critical and supportive peers from around the globe. Before we do that, before we go into breakout, and I just need to check whether she is willing and able at this stage to do that. I was thinking we might ask Julia to take 3 minutes, Julia, to just share and maybe recollect some of your original ambitions for the cohort when you first presented the idea of having a roundtable of deans and directors. I think it was 4 years ago. And I see Julia nodding. So Julia, if you could maybe just give us 3 minutes of your thoughts on your early ambitions for the cohort. And then I'll take it from there. Thank you.
Thanks, John. So I'll just share by saying that joining the GRLI was, a really important and successful decision, one I was really glad I made as I first became dean, and I had been encouraged by some other Canadian business school deans to do so when we realized that we shared similar values and ambitions for our schools. And, that was to focus on sustainability, business ethics, business that takes a long-term view or embraces stakeholder capitalism, and was just so inspired by the GRLI. And, what I was learning from others, but there was a little bit that was missing for me. We were talking about the things we were attempting to achieve, but we weren't talking so much about our strategies or tactics for getting there. And in my experience, the academy can seem pretty intractable, highly bureaucratic and with a lot invested in particular ways of doing things. And I found often I was, sort of being beaten down by culture and systems, and had to spend so much of my time thinking about, like, how do I deke around things? Or sometimes I describe myself as a princess warrior with my sword out, right? Trying to slash through bureaucracy or barriers. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a group of change-making focused deans and directors of our centers that shared not just what we were aspiring to change, but how we were doing it, right? Really zeroing in on those levers or those tricks that we were finding to be incredibly useful as we endeavored to change the system. Anyway, it was in Limerick in Ireland where I made that suggestion, and thankfully John and Anders, I think Anders, you and I met first to explore the idea further, and then Claire and John endorsed it, and Claire Summer was excited by it and providing support. And then we hosted the first GRLI Deans and Directors cohort at the University of Guelph to kind of launch this initiative. And I think some of you were there, or at least folks from yesterday. Anyway, yes, thrilled to see that this continues and that we are just such a wonderful supportive community. And as I said earlier, I always take away so much. So thank you for being part of it.
Thank you, Julia, just for reminding us of the origin. And I think just building on that, would it be fair to say then that it has become a safe place for sharing learning, for sharing and testing with peers those ideas, those difficult and challenging questions that people hold. And what we're also seeing, I think, more recently is that it is ultimately allowing us to realize more collective impact. And Wayne can't join us today, but some of you were on the call earlier this week where the initiative was discussed around a shared program on sustainable transformation. So thank you very much, Julia, for again, for helping kickstart this. but also for sharing some of the context of how it started. I think, again, with reference to that, what we have seen, not only in the cohort, but in the wider GRLI's work as well, is that continued actions, peer learning, and ultimately to have some sort of collective impact, we need help, we need resources, which can typically be found within the relationships that we have and that we build, whether it's here in the cohort or in the GRLI or the wider ecosystem. So what we're going to do is having had a chance, a few minutes just to clarify your essential intent or the actions, we're going to break into smaller groups, 3 or 4. I think suggesting Claire Summer that we make the groups no smaller than 3, please. And this breakout is going to span for 25 minutes. Yeah, I think make the breakouts 4 people, please, Claire. 25 minutes, where you have an opportunity in the company of critical friends to further develop your intent, which includes investigating and recognizing the shadow side, and determining what is needed, what you need to give, and what take it might require. For instance, what are you going to be, who and what are you going to be reaching out for? What are you going to let go of? What are you going to hold on to in order to realize that intent? So in the small groups, you're going to give each person an opportunity to state where they are in relation to their intent or action, and what it entails, and then have feedback in the form of clarification questions within the small group, where you can determine what strikes your colleagues about what you've shared, what piques people's interest, and it may be an opportunity for you to restate your intent based on the feedback that you hear. Okay, so just to recap, small groups, and Claire's already set them up, so we'll get you into those shortly. And I'm putting into the chat, just as a guide, giving each person an opportunity to state where they are in relation to their intent or action and what it entails. Then inviting some feedback in the form of clarification, constructive clarification questions, perhaps a reflection on what has struck people about what you're sharing. And if need be, you can restate your intent based on the feedback that you get. So this is our first proper breakout for today. And then when we come back into plenary, we'll hear what are some of the themes or topics emerging. We won't necessarily do a full round. So this is really for you to clarify your essential intent or action. So with that, we're starting the breakout. Claire,
Very helpful.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. I'm just going to make sure that we've got our, okay, there we go. So you would have had a chance now, hopefully within the smaller groups, to further develop your intent, your actions that you hold, and to investigate, hopefully to some extent, what give and take will be required to bring those to reality. We were just reflecting on the kind of the process going forward, because we had a number of options, and what we think we're going to do now is to, since we're not such a big group online at the moment, what we thought we would do now is we'll have an opportunity for a round, because what's gonna come next, what's gonna come next is I think our attempt at supporting the connecting of dots. If you can share what it is that you hold, and in this full plenary also hear the intent of others, it will allow us to start considering what we might do together, what we might accomplish together that we can't do on our own. And I think that's where we'd like to move the energy now, is what is it that we're able to do or accomplish together that we can't do on our own. And we've already had glimpses of that earlier on in today's conversation. So there will be some dots on the screen of ideas or actions or intents that light up as people share. And you might say, oh, I need to connect with that dot, not only for my own sake, but perhaps also for their sake, for the sake of all of us. We are, I guess what we're saying is that connecting the dots makes the cohort bigger, bigger than the room that we're in now. And it can make the impact bigger than the cohort. So, so in this round, just in a few seconds, we don't need to have all the detail. And if you're ready to kick off, you're more than welcome. I'll quickly pick up on screen who hasn't had a chance yet. Simply share your essential intent, or the action that you're holding, or the inquiry that is guiding you for the next few months, so that we can start connecting the dots across the cohort. Okay. And we welcome, I think we can follow the pop when you're hot principle. Okay, John Knight.
Okay, in the interest of not wasting time. So I kind of had a bit of an aha moment during the session I had with 3 colleagues. And though the sort of one of the intents of becoming part of GRLI as a non-academic, and perhaps the only non-academic here today, I don't know, in that that we've developed a transpersonal leadership journey, that we're, being a small company and not wanting to be any bigger, want to find a way of changing the world by making that program available. I won't go into that any more detail at this moment in time, but the aha moment I had in terms of, you know, what can we offer rather than take, if you like, whichever way around it is that each person, I guess, in this group is a leader with typical leadership issues. And as I was listening to the colleagues talking about their issues, they're very similar to the, you know, perhaps hundreds of senior executives that I've been involved with coaching over the last 20, 25 years. And that the issues are very similar. And so I guess my feeling here is that I can also perhaps help people who've got issues.
Thanks, John. That's an offer of support on matters relating to transpersonal leadership, that which you hold as an offer or a resource to the cohort. Thanks. Wonderful. Who else would like to just share in terms of their, Dale?
So we had sort of, given the short time frame, we had like 2 ideas that we continued to build on within our group discussion. One was more of a research collaboration, and Mark should really talk more a little bit about that. And then the other one we started to build together with Vasu and Lisa, Mark and I, was the idea of small experiments of action, getting 3 to 4 deans together, 3 to 4 continents represented, and they just agree to do something. And Lisa kept saying, you know, doable. In other words, it's got to be doable so it doesn't feel like, oh, this is this big project that requires so much coordination, that the smaller the group, the more likely the experiment could happen. Whether it's a joint class assignment, whether it's a co-sponsoring a speaker speaking to transformational issues, where each school that normally might get 30 people attending, all of a sudden 4 deans, now you have 120 people attending, right? But small, doable, I'm going to call it experiments, nimble, entrepreneurial. And when that happens, imagine in the GRI, if there were 20 groups of 4 who were doing that. And then one of the ideas that came out in the discussion, I think Lisa talked about an extra day at a GRLI gathering where you could spotlight what different buzz groups were doing, the different small groups were doing. And all of a sudden, other groups could join. So now you've got 8 deans, and then maybe another one has 16 deans and directors, et cetera. And this also builds on the idea that came from somebody else earlier in one of the earlier sessions yesterday, where Anne, you talked a little bit about the directors coming together to do something. So anyway, the basic idea is small, nimble experiments that could then build and build and build. And all of a sudden you're taking something that's I and we, and it eventually becomes all of us. So that was the first idea. And then I lob it over to Mark for the other thing that came out of our session.
Thanks, Dale. We spent a long time talking about this small global teams because it was such a great idea, and we all kept firing off different ways. But the other idea, which we got slightly less, was just looking for what was a GRLI as a mechanism, as a basis for research collaborations, and it sort of came particularly out of me thinking of my new destination, incoming dean in South Africa, and how we can try and promote kind of a bit more sharing between the schools who have been quite competitive. I feel when I compare when I arrive in South Africa and in meetings with them, and I thought, well, how can we perhaps create a doctoral competition or something like that that would about responsibility, SDGs, whatever, that would feed into and perhaps lead up to the GRLI conference that's going to be in Stellenbosch in 23. And that would, and I was thinking of that, and I had a bit of a complex about, I don't want to be seen as the savior coming from Europe and sort of as a new, sort of saying this is the new idea, but Dale told me to get over it. But also to say, well, how could these PhD students and go a bit further in faculty from South Africa be hooked up within a bigger network within GRLI in terms of pairing up interested like speed dating between different dyads of people interested in the similar topics that might lead to collaborations, co-publications, co-supervisions, co-funding, etc., etc.
Thanks, Mark and Dale. So maybe just a quick preview before we move on to the next person. So what we're going to do shortly is we're going to open 4 rooms, of which 3 are claimable. So if you have an actionable idea or initiative that you want to connect others to, and you maybe have some of those in the room in mind that you'd like to involve, then you'd be able to claim that room, take a few more minutes in there to discuss and flesh out the idea. However, it's going to be open space. So if someone else is interested in that, they can enter the room and join the conversation. If they decide that their energy is no longer there, they can exit the conversation and move on to another room. So we're going to have a bit of an open space opportunity in a few minutes from now. So let's try and just share any of the other ideas and actions that are bubbling, so that we can get a better sense of what all is available. And thank you so much to those who've already shared. Julia.
So we had a great conversation in a triad, and I just to reinforce some of the other points being made, that people's day jobs take so much time and energy, right, that it can be difficult to find space to contribute to these larger initiatives. So I fully support what Dale was just saying, and we also recognize that we're not getting any younger, and how important it is to take care of ourselves, right? It's easy when you attend a meeting like this to get so excited and to commit to all kinds of things, but then what toll to your personal health. And I confessed as being in my young 60s now, not being able to pull off all-nighters so effectively anymore, right? And so I see this mountain work ahead of me, and how I need to really prioritize like my physical health and strengthening my body, right? So that I can continue to contribute. So I just wanted to share that thing. But in terms of what I'm working on, anyone that wants to know a little bit more about initiatives to create like new rankings, new global metrics, right? I think deans are under a lot of pressure to point to those external things that can validate us, right? And so the traditional Times Higher Ed or QS or FD50, right, been really reinforcing a traditional sense of the business school, a traditional value of faculty publications. So just to say there are new things arising, including the positive impact rating that was launched in Davos a year ago, January. There's corporate nights, and I'm also continuing to work with the United Nations, as is John, in their higher education sustainability initiative. And looking at how do we bring more attention to this. And so now publishers are signing on to the United Nations, making a pledge to embrace the SDGs and bring that into their journals and into their books. So anyway, just to share, it's a really interesting time. And at the UN's high-level political forum this summer, there are going to be a number of events that look at these issues. So this is changing the global system of how universities and business schools are ranked and rated. If you're looking for a metric to validate what you're doing, anyway, I would just encourage you to be aware of the alternatives to the traditional approach. And interesting, Andrew Jack from the FTFD has signed into this commitment through HESI to start doing things differently. Anyway, there's resources in the chat.
Thanks, Julia. Other essential intents. I think there's a lot in what you're saying, Julia. You clearly have a lot more energy than you're admitting to. Okay, Marie.
Thank you, John. Yeah, I raised an idea in the group, but Julia also warned me that would take time. But I just dared to spell it out and see if someone else is interested. Mary Watson and I was listed here in the dashboard for 50 times 20, which seems very ambitious when I think about it. And we have, at least I haven't done anything, I haven't heard from Mary. Still, I think it's a good idea. Maybe not doing something new, but revitalizing or something. When GRLI should be the lead of progressive schools, I just thought it is a possibility to jointly make something together that kind of shows where's the something to benchmark against, or something that could go in line with Julia's PRI, or something that sets a standard. I'm not sure how to formulate, but I would be happy to discuss further in a group what that could be, and how it also could be kind of formulated in a way with or without a connection to the 50+20, which still is very valid, I think. But it's 10 years old, and then we didn't have the SDGs, so there are some kind of revitalizing issues one could bring into a new or a parallel initiative, or a Magna Carta or whatever.
Yeah, so a refreshed stretch vision for management education in service of the globe.
Yeah, if we take it to management education or for business school, or how we want to frame it, I just I'm a bit open there. But yeah.
Thanks, Marie, for sharing that. Any other actions arising, intents? Please don't be shy. I guess people, you know, so and I'm guessing this is not because people don't have anything that they want to share, but they might just be. I just want to give one last chance. Is there anything that? Okay, so I think what we're going to do then, if there's nothing else that people would like to share now, is we have room 1, which someone can claim. So maybe one of those who's already shared their ideas would like to say, I'll host room 1, and then we can just put your name on it. Anyone? Okay, Dale. So that's Dale's room. This is room 1. Room 2.
John, Dale, you were muted. Did you want to?
I was going to say, it might help if we give names to the rooms so folks can think about where they want to. I mean, I'm going to steal Lisa's word. You know, doable experiments.
Doable experiments. That's room 1. Thank you very much. I think that's a much better way of labeling it. Okay, so we have room 1 is a bid for doable experiments. Room 2. Anyone would like to claim room 2? Julia, what would you like to be labeled as?
I guess anyone who wants to know a little bit more about strategically approaching ratings and rankings to help build their brand and legitimize what they're doing. I'm happy to talk about that.
Rating, ranking strategies. Okay, room 3.
But I actually want to attend John Knight's room. That's to find out what he perceives as the leadership support we all need. So I might leave my room after a while and join John's.
John, do you want to host a room?
Were you talking to me?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if yeah, by popular demand, I wasn't going to, but yeah, Dean leadership support, maybe, I don't know, something like that.
Okay. Great. And the 4th room, we're simply going to call the mingle room. Or Marie, did you want to add a room?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, beyond 50, 20 or
Beyond 50 plus 20. Great. And then I'm going to add a room that's just a mingle room.
So there's a thing in chat, John, from Dale and Anicia about everybody would like to go in everybody else's rooms at some point. Is there any way that we can perhaps facilitate?
Yeah, so well, what we could then perhaps do is we could split it. So we could say let's run the first 10 minutes or so on beyond 50 plus 20 and Dean leadership support. Or no, let's do beyond 50 plus 20 and rating and ranking strategies.
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to, let me just quickly do this. I'm just going to delete 2 of the rooms for the moment. Okay, so for the moment, we're going to have 3 rooms. Rating and ranking strategies, beyond 50 plus 20, and a mingle room.
Great.
And you can choose, and we're going to open them for
12 minutes. 12 minutes?
How many?
12?
How many? 12, okay. We're going to open them for 12 minutes, and you can choose where you want to go. Okay? And then after 12 minutes, we'll check in. If we see that we need more time, and then we can negotiate for that. But for the moment, let's just stick to that. I'm going to open the rooms now.
And then we come back, and then we have 12 minutes in the other 2 rooms.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
great.
all rooms will be open to everyone.
Yeah. So right now we're going to open all the 3 rooms: rating and ranking strategies, beyond 50 plus 20, and okay, great. There we go. So they're open for the next 12 minutes, and you should be able to join. Just check whether it's possible. If you have a little breakout room thing. Yeah, there we go. If I may just check in from the 2, in terms of the 2 groups, in terms of timing, are we ready to move on to the next rooms to explore those, or do we need more rooms? If you could maybe just give us an indication, that would be helpful.
think we're done. I mean, we were discussing the idea, and I think people agree. We need another meeting to kind of read the document and elaborate ideas on, so not just doing it stand up. So that's fine.
Definitely, Marie.
Okay, so we're not going to keep the 50 plus 20 room open for now, Marie. Okay. The ratings and rankings, do we want to keep that room open some more? Just checking with others.
I think we're good. And as I said, I put lots of links in the chat for people who are interested in exploring more.
Okay.
Marie, did you share? No, the report is available. The 50 plus 20 is available on the website, etc. So people can easily. But did you have any discussion, Marie, on a way forward, on how to, because that's where we ended last year, if you remember, with Mary.
Yeah. We said we need a common, well, briefly, need a common language, connect it more clearly to Agenda 2030 and SDGs to get that kind of revitalizing. And we need to know a bit more about the process of the 50-20. I guess some of Anders and John, you have been to it and see what are the possibilities. I mean, maybe is this a good idea, or do you see there's a potential of it, and so on. And then have another meeting when we really read and thought through and have a more brainstorming, informed brainstorming discussion.
Okay, so you have an agenda actually on how to get started.
Yeah, that makes an agenda. We have one.
On how to get started. Yeah. And you're welcome. I think you're welcome to invite John. You're welcome to invite me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Absolutely.
Great. So then let's move into the next round. And again, if there's anything else that comes up, we can create more rooms. So we still have the mingle room. We have the Dean's Leadership Support Room. I think is what we call it. And then we have, just remind me the name, Dale, of your room. Experiments.
Small nimble experiments.
Yeah.
Is it going in?
Doable experiments.
Doable experiments. Okay. Great. So we're going to open, let me just see, we're going to open the rooms for 12 more minutes. And you can choose, and then we'll come back and we'll close them. Thanks. Just go to the breakout button and pick the room that you want to join. Okay, so we're moving to a close. We've got roughly 15 minutes before we're done, or before we wrap up. And we have, I think, hopefully seen that our first attempts at connecting some dots provides the potential for the cohort to create impact beyond itself. For those of you who haven't looked at it recently, we invite you and encourage you to capture any ideas, actions that you're working on that you want to keep record of, to capture that onto the cohort dashboard. We'll of course circulate some emails after this gathering, just to remind you of the link. But having reminded you about creating action and about creating impact, I should also add that first and foremost, this cohort is of course a safe place where you can tap into for peer support. It is a place where you can build those relationships that are needed to sustain transformative change. It's an opportunity, it offers an opportunity to replenish. And I think we also saw that yesterday. Even those who couldn't necessarily be here today found value in having that opportunity to relocate themselves in the context of developing global responsibility, and reconnect with others that are perhaps not in exactly the same boat, but find themselves in the same storm. So in that spirit of holding and supporting this participant-driven cohort, we thought it would be valuable at this stage and as we close, just to get some feedback in this conversation here from you on that can guide us in continuing to support the cohort going forward. Perhaps it can help inform future gatherings. And I should remind you that we've already earmarked some dates for the rest of the year, the 29th and 30th of June, also the 21st and 22nd of October. And then to be determined, we're thinking of having another gathering at the close of the year in December. But it will be very valuable for us as a core team, and also, I guess, for others on the call to hear your reflections on and guidance on what would be helpful and valuable for the future of the cohort. So thinking about yesterday and today, what value or outcomes do you see emerging from this gathering? Any thoughts or suggestions for the format, the way in which we convene? If there are any specific roles or contributions that you wish to bring or that you think that you can offer, and maybe any final thoughts on the possibility for collective impact from this cohort. You can also type in the chat, and you can email us afterwards if you have any further thoughts that comes to mind. But it'd be good to just hear a little bit in this context before we close your thoughts on the cohort. Yep.
John, I know I'm from the core team and should be listening, but that, you know, it kind of never stops me. What I'd like to offer is there's been a number of responses to the reflection exercise that we did on the first day. And what I'd like to suggest is I'll write it up and put it into Slack or Claire onto the Google Docs, I think. So if anybody would like to take it and either use it with their colleagues or perhaps just try to integrate it as a practice, then it's available to you. So that's what I'd like to offer.
Thanks, Claire, for that offer. And thank you, Dale. I see you've already captured some key points from your discussion in the last group.
Okay.
So, yeah, Mark, please go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is the right thing to ask for, but it seems yesterday we spent quite a bit of time reflecting on how we'd survived and thrived and in 2020, and at a very operational level now we turned things around and converted to online and did things we thought were unimaginable. But now there's a kind of a new challenge that we all face as deans or directors in terms of how to maintain, sort of maybe ties in with what John saying about leadership demands on deans and directors, but it's a new challenge to maintain momentum, to keep people's well-being sustainable, and yet at the same time keep moving forward, because we all faced perhaps different challenges and new challenges in that environment, but also our faculty and our colleagues and our schools are all under sort of pressure to do that. And how do we, as leaders, keep that going, and what practices we're putting in place, the things we do, even at a very practical level, the things like communicating every day, every week, every 2 weeks. Dale and I were exchanging earlier before this meeting. We had this small exchange about how different schools would say, for example, drop the performance reviews or adapted and cancelled evaluations, and all of. Now it seems we did that in the urgency of 2020 or in the crossover to this year, but it doesn't seem any that feeling of ongoing crisis seems very evident where I am sitting now in France, in the school where I'm leaving, and both in Stellenbosch where I'm going to. So maybe it's not unique to my experience, but somehow that we share or have a session where we think about what are the managerial leadership responses in phase 2 of the pandemic, or phase 5, or whatever level we're at. I don't know that. Sorry, that's not very coherent, but that's it's existential deanness, I suppose. Is it?
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, Lisa, so just in response to Lisa before, I think Dale's ready to share as well. Lisa, just in response, we'll recirculate the link to the version of the dashboard where you can see everybody's whole personal biography and their email addresses. But we'll circulate that again. Okay. Dale, sorry, you were about to add?
Oh, no. I just realized.
Sorry, I thought you unmuted too. Okay.
No, accident.
No, it's okay. Okay, so any other just feedback on the gathering or the value of the cohort, the format going forward, any specific contributions that you wish to bring?
Julia.
Yeah,
Julia.
maybe John, just in response to what Mark just said, you were probably going to do this anyway, but just a sense of when the next GRLI gathering is, and is it so far in the future that we need to do something in between, or like how might the GRLI respond to Mark's request? Because I can really relate to that.
Could I sympathize with that? Being part of the core team, but I really wonder about the pace. The pace. But maintain, and especially when I think about holding the relational dimension of the court as well, it needs some sort of continuity.
Yeah.
Especially when we are as virtual as we are these days, right, Mark? And also for keeping the momentum of what we're facing and how we face it. So I'm sympathizing with that.
Yeah. I mean, if I may just briefly respond, because I don't think I've got a perfect answer ready for this. I mean, so we earmarked for bigger cohort gatherings, kind of 2-day gatherings like this, June, which I completely take the point that that's too far out if that's going to be it. So what we have done, for those of you that do use it, is we've set up Slack again. In fact, the GRLI has been using Slack since 2017. But I know that some people use Microsoft Teams, so we can certainly look into that as well as a potential platform, just as a means of having a way of staying connected more asynchronously. But then, based on the kind of reporting that we're hearing, nothing prevents anyone from saying, I'd like to, and like what Wayne Visser has done, I'd like to convene a conversation about X or Y or Z, and we'll make it happen. We'll make sure that that there's an opportunity, that there's a platform, that it gets amplified, and that people are aware of it. But yeah, if there's specific suggestions about how we can better do that, I'd love to hear that. And it doesn't have to be now. We can take it offline as well. Yeah, sorry, Mark.
Perhaps we can piggyback on Dale's small nimble teams. I call them something different every time, but that we just didn't the sort of speed dating that she's proposed to pick up different topics. They become the intervening interactions in the 2-day events, and they happen kind of organically. So maybe I could propose one on I don't know, one of the things I just mentioned about, I was thinking one of the things is on my mind is about the meetings that we organize, dean's meetings and faculty meetings and communications, and we could have a kind of a small nimble group on that just puts together. Then that could run in parallel to the pedagogic ideas that Dale had, or the research ideas, etc. And then we there's a phrase in English called "suck it and see," which you say to in children. Say, like, if you give them a lollipop and you suck it and see if you like it or not. And we just see how that goes between now and June, and then if small nimble groups are the way to do to have the regular contact or some intermediate contact between sessions, then if that works, it works. If it doesn't work, we have a new experiment between June and October.
Which also could help in building up to June. Could also be building up and contributing something to it. Could also build up and contribute to June, to the June gathering.
Yeah,
good. Okay.
I wonder, John, as well, and I'm just conscious of time, so I'll keep this brief. I just wonder if there's some kind of experiment when we have a bit longer together online around the paradox or the contradiction, I don't know, the dynamic between well-being and ongoing challenge. You know, that the cohort is a place of resilience and replenishment as well as doing, and whether we could think about something perhaps in the design of the cohort going forward that we could spend just a little bit more time on. That is just a thought.
Okay, thanks. And I think, Claire, there was something else that you were going to, because you had.
Oh, yes, I'll do this really quickly, but because we need to. But it's as it's just, I was thinking about the small groups and the power of the small group, and I mean, I'm imbued with Peter Block and his work on communities, and his view was the smaller the group, the better, because you know, the world is changed one room at a time, and the future is created one room at a time. So the small group as a unit of transformation is for me an extraordinarily powerful thing. So I wanted to acknowledge the work that we've done today and the power of the groupings that we've had. I think that's really important. It's about who's here as much as about who's not here. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Unless there's anything else someone would like to share just in terms of format, etc. going forward, I think we're going to bring it to a close. I'm just checking around the room. Okay. And thanks so much for all the notes, and of course we've got this final plenary recorded as well. So I'll certainly go back and take a listen to how we can best support this. Just to bring us to a close, let's do a round with one word. I think if you don't mind, I'm going to start at the top left of my screen and just shout out your name. I'm second, by the way. So I'm going to start. You just say one word, and then we'll wave goodbye. Okay. So just unmute your microphone so that we can hear everyone, please. Okay. Claire Maxwell.
Moving.
John North. Gratitude. Claire Summer.
Purposeful.
Anders.
Future.
Anicia.
Out of time.
Mark.
Excited.
Anne.
Ready.
Marie.
Thrilled.
Say that again.
Thrilled. I tried to say it in English.
Thanks.
That's a good one.
Thrilled.
Lisa.
Energized.
John Knights.
Learning.
Cindy.
Grateful.
Dale.
Inspired.
Vasu.
Inspiring.
Jeff.
Enthusiastic.
Matawe.
Thankful.
Van.
Collaborative.
Julia.
Blessed.
Rumina.
Ready.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, lovely to see you.